Welcome back to another episode of Clutch Gene Sports. I'm here with my man Josh Harper. How's it going, man?
It's going great. It's going great. Always good to talk ball with my guy Marco. Baby, let's go. Let's go.
Man, a lot of things have happened since the last time we've got to record, man. The Niners have lost two in a row since last time we recorded. Might be the reason why they've lost because we're not recording. I mean, no, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I'm very superstitious, so hopefully it gets us back on track. So a lot of things, including, I guess it's the biggest news around all of NFL because the 49ers are the best team in the NFL and everyone knows it. So we'll get straight to it. But first and foremost, make sure you guys go over to Josh Harper's channel. It is linked in the description. Make sure you guys hit the subscribe button. Make sure you guys go on Twitter. It's at jharp the second, so you guys can see it right there a little bit better. Make sure you guys hit that follow button. Go over there, tap in with him. He's very knowledgeable. Played at a high level. So for those of you guys who like to tell people, "Oh, you didn't play at a high level, so you can't say nothing," he played at the highest level. So his words it has a lot of weight for a lot of you. So make sure you guys go over there and tap in with him. Brock Purdy's concussion, straight to it. So we didn't know Brock was injured throughout that entire game, even after his interceptions leading up to Tuesday. Conversation was being had. No one knew what had happened to him until Wednesday, which was very interesting timing to announce a player's in concussion protocol. Normally, typically, you kind of see it that following day of a player's in concussion protocol. Brock Purdy is now in concussion protocol. He is doing some light work on the field. I did see him doing some. It looked like he was acting like he was doing handoffs and kind of like faking a handoff with no one there. So depending on the concussion protocol, from what I read and learned, there's 5 phases to the protocol. He's either in phase 2 or 3, depending on which phase he's in. Is depending on if he could become active or not, in my opinion, because phase 2 allows you to do like the minimum work of jogging and stuff like that while you're stretching. Phase 3 allows you to pretty much practice with the team in a limited capacity. So with 30 minutes of practice. So what are your thoughts on Brock Purdy's concussion? We'll go straight to it. Do you think it was that hit that everyone's pointing out that was a concussion? But what are your thoughts on Brock Purdy's concussion?
I mean, it could be. We don't know. All right. You've seen people get hit extremely hard and not have a concussion. You've seen people take minimal hits and had a concussion, right? So, I mean, I can see that being the hit that caused him to get a concussion. But we really don't know unless he comes out and says like, okay, this was the hit, that gave me that concussion. But hey, if people want to go with that hit, I mean, I'm not gonna refute it because concussions are serious. Concussions are extremely serious, and with him having one, I'm not gonna downplay it whatsoever. But we really don't know which hit was that gave him in the concussion.
And that's what I was trying to say yesterday because I went on live with Ashley, and we were talking about it, and she kind of brought up that play, and I'm like, well, you can't say that play is the reason like there was a concussion because I've seen or I've from personal experiences one of my hardest hits wasn't concussed, no nothing, no nothing. A hit that I barely got smacked like to the face, barely playing basketball, concussed. Like, how does that work? So it's like it all depends on how the brain moves when you're hit, not necessarily the impact of the hit. So you're absolutely right when it comes to that. Now, concussions are serious, like you said. He had 2 interceptions after his concussion based off that shit. We don't know when it was. So I don't want that's why I'm putting asterisks around it. We don't know. It could have been one of the first. I honestly thought the sack when he got sacked by the edge rusher when he's rolling left. I went back to look at it. He flies back and it looks like he hits the back of his head.
Mhm.
So it could have been that play too. Like we don't know what exact play it was. So I don't know if he played with the concussion throughout the entire game because that sack came, I believe, in the early third quarter. Um, was it that play? Was it? I don't know what it was, but talk to me about the concussion and did that impact his play?
Hey, I mean, I've played with the concussion. Um,
Same.
I don't know how severe his concussion was. I don't know if he was cloudy or whatnot. I'm not even sure if they actually diagnosed him with a concussion. I'm not sure. Did they actually diagnose him, or is it just concussion symptoms? I don't.
Um, I don't based off of the Adam Schefter report and everyone's
Mhm.
report, he was placed in the concussion protocol. Like, it wasn't
Okay.
necessarily like it didn't say he was concussed or anything. I'm gonna go back and look, but it did not for me what I saw. I never saw he was diagnosed with a concussion as well. So
Well, okay. Well, as you said, concussions are serious. Let's say he did have a concussion. Um, I guess we can say that's the reason why. I know if we probably talked to him, he would go against it. He probably would say like, those interceptions were on me. I take full responsibility of it. Um, but I can't. I'm not a neurologist. I can't say if the interceptions were or were not due to the concussion. He seemed like he was fine out there. He had to. I mean, to everybody's point, I mean, he played well up into, those two interceptions, which supposedly came after that quarterback sneak hit. So, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. If he was to say, man, I wasn't myself out there throwing the ball after I took a hit, I'll go with him. But I think personally, I think he'll be like, you know what? I'm not gonna put my throws on that concussion. I'm gonna bounce back. I think he's gonna play this week. I think he's still gonna play. I'm gonna bounce back against the Bengals. We're gonna get back rolling because I think that's the type of competitor he is, and I think that's what he'll say. But I'll give the rest of the fan base and everybody that's saying he wasn't himself after the concussion, supposedly the quarterback sneak. I'll give everybody the benefit of the doubt with saying that.
then absolutely, but as a player, right? You know your body. You know when you're yourself and when you're not. And when you're playing the most important position in the NFL and in all of sports, if you want to, for the most part in all of sports, it's the most important position. And if you know you're not yourself, you're putting your team at risk to lose a game, right? So you gotta like, hey, I'm not myself. So at the end of the day, if you're playing through it and you know you're not feeling like yourself, that's also on you.
Yeah.
So it's like you can't. So we can't, for me at least, because I played through them, knowing I had it,
Mhm.
knowing I'm good. Like I'm not gonna be a liability to my team. So I've played through them. Like I'm good, even though I probably shouldn't have. Which 99% of the time you shouldn't play with a concussion.
Mhm.
Um, so for him, if he knew, it's still on him.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
two interceptions are on him still, no matter what, because he most likely knew something was wrong. You don't for the most part when you're concussed and you know you're concussed, you feel it. Like
Mhm.
you feel the difference. You got it right away. You get a migraine. The lights start feeling a little too bright, and
Yep.
you're kind of like trying to hide from the light. Those symptoms are hella real. So it's bright in there. It's loud. That makes your head even start pounding more. So for him, if he didn't know, that's crazy because he played through it, and that's kudos to him. But before we knew about the concussion, right? You put out a tweet talking about Brock Purdy, and a lot of people came to defend him. I don't know exact words you put, but essentially you're like, hey, it's cool to say he played bad. Two
It's cool.
interceptions, two interceptions on the last two drives
Mhm.
are on him. What what was the pushback from the fans, and why is your stance the way it was?
I just see a lot of finger pointing. I see a lot of finger pointing. It's the defense, the defense, the defense. Well, the offense put up 17 points, right? The offense still had a chance in both games to win the game. So it's a team sport. I want to see them pointing the finger at the team rather than defense, 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 giving up points, halftime blitz that went for a touchdown. Oh, let's blame Wilkes. Where's the pass rush? The Niners offense still had a chance both games to win the game, right? Now, you have this quarterback who has been playing elite. I don't think he's there yet. Some say it's not fair to give that assessment. I agree, but there's also some that have already gave him that elite tag after you know X amount of games, right? So, so that's where my tweet was coming from. That it's okay, it's okay to say Brock Purdy had not even a bad game. Brock Purdy had a bad two crucial drives where they both ended in an interception, and ended in a turnover, right? It's okay to say that. It's not, you don't have to just point the finger at the defense. Like if you want to, and a lot of another thing I was getting, well, he's still young, he's learning, this and that. Well, the defense is learning from a new DC. This is a new DC. He didn't come from the coaching ranks like how Saleh did and how D'Amico Ryans did. They were internal hires, so the defense was already familiar with him. The defense is having to deal with the new Wilkes. He's not on the field. He's in the box. Like so, they're dealing with changes too. And this is their worst game of the season. They weren't lights out in all the games, but they played good, right? So what I'm trying to get from this fan base is to stop babying, Brock Purdy. That's what I think is babying him. I think he's been playing elite up into these past two games. I'll say that. I'm not gonna say he's an elite quarterback, and I'm not going to say that yet, but stop babying him. It's okay to say he struggled, at the end of both games. It's okay. And that's where that tweet came from because I was just seeing, a lot of the fan base just, pointing fingers and saying Brock Purdy had a great game. Okay, well, how long is a game? Is a game 3 quarters or is it 4 quarters? And once the clock says 0-0-0,
It's
so
when we decide.
and that's what I'm saying. It's okay. So he played great up until this point, so he played good. No, you got to finish the game strong. So, and that's where that tweet came from. Um, that's where I was like, this fan base babies Brock Purdy, and is he elite or not? I see so many things that they move the goalposts. They move the goalposts for Brock Purdy, and I have nothing to get. I think he's the best quarterback on the Niners that should be playing. I think he's better than Trey Lance at this point, and I don't even want to talk about
Absolutely.
Trey. I don't want to talk about Trey Lance because he's not on the Niners, but I think he is. But people would push a different narrative just to try to prove their point. Like a lot of the tweets were like, "Oh, this is coming from a guy who was pushing for Trey Lance." Yeah, from those few practices I seen, he looked
He
really
looked
good.
better. Yeah, it's
Yeah. Okay, but he's not a Niner no more, so I don't care. And I've been said, after Steelers and after that game, the next game, Brock Purdy was playing very, very good football. Efficient. So that's where that tweet came from.
and what's interesting is after the Cleveland Browns game, he played poor the whole game. He didn't play good at all the entire game, right?
Mhm.
Everyone on Twitter is like, "Oh, well, if you look at him, he put us in a great position to win the game." Okay, but he still played bad, and we missed the field goal and we lost. Right? They were blaming Jake Moody because Brock Purdy got us in position to win the game. Right? So then this week, I'm like, "What's the difference?" The defense, they're blaming the defense, right? The defense gave you two opportunities to win the game. Two. And he decided to turn it over through interceptions. So you can't one week say Brock Purdy was the hero and put you in a situation to win the game, but then the next week he has an opportunity to win the game and doesn't do it.
Mhm.
But and you go on and blame the defense. To me, I think the defense does have a lot of criticism, and we'll get to the defense in a little
Yeah.
bit. But 22 points that they gave up on a bad game, I'm living with that. If you're giving up 22 points and that's considered a bad game, guess what? Offense, don't fumble in the red zone and don't miss field goals. That's on you guys. You guys got to score more than 17 points in back-to-back weeks if you want to be a Super Bowl caliber team. You ain't gonna win a Super Bowl scoring 17 points. That's for sure. This ain't the 1980s. Like you ain't winning with 17 points in any game for the most part. So for me, I just felt like a lot of the fans, when it comes to Brock Purdy, is he playing really well? Absolutely,
Yes.
but call a spade a spade. And he didn't play well the last 2 weeks. Now, my question for you is, if Brock Purdy does play this Sunday against the Bengals, does he bounce back and why?
Yeah, I definitely 100% think that Brock Purdy is gonna bounce back against the Bengals because Kyle is not he's not a dumb coach. He's gonna put Purdy in the right position to be efficient. To make the right reads, the right throws. He's gonna have a game plan that's going to fit what Brock Purdy's doing. I think the defense will play better. So It's not going to put Purdy in any bad positions, which I don't think the defense put him in any bad positions other than him having to go out and win the game at the end, which is looking like is kind of a weakness of his right now. Which okay, he is young, he can get better at it, right? But I'm still going to call it out, right? I'm going to call it out. It's been a weakness this season for him to go out and win a game at the end. But like I said, yeah, Kyle Shanahan, he's a genius. He's gonna get rolling. He's gonna have to become more creative because I feel like in that second half, the Vikings defense really honed in and really had a plan for them in that second half, and it started with taking away Brandon Ayuk. So no, I definitely think he'll bounce back. I think personally, I think Brock Purdy's gonna play, um, and I think he'll play good. This Bengals team is looking to bounce back, and they had this high expectation as well, and haven't lived up to it. So they have a chip on their shoulder as well. So I think they're gonna come in, and Brock Purdy's gonna play, and he's gonna play much better. And if he has the opportunity to go win a game, hopefully he does it. I don't know. I haven't seen it yet. If not, I think hey, that means we won, right? So let's do it.
So for me, with Brock Purdy, I hope he bounces back. Obviously, like the 49ers, you shout out to CG Ruthless. Make
GT,
sure you guys
what up?
make sure y'all go to his channel. Make sure y'all subscribe to his channel as well. But when it comes to Brock Purdy, I don't know if he bounces back because the way I've seen some defenses playing him, they're taking away his first read. They're dropping their linebackers deep into that intermediate routes that he loves to throw. And I'm seeing that I'm like, man, that's something I've noticed in 2 games back to back. It's like you don't start seeing teams do that unless they feel a quarterback is being disrupted by that. And that's his timing. When they're taking away Brandon Ayuk, I think Kyle needs to do a much better job of being creative and getting Brandon Ayuk open, and not necessarily him being the first read. Kyle was a good enough coach to create wide ass open throws. Like, so for me, it's like Kyle, do your job and get Brandon Ayuk more than 6 to 7 targets in a game. You can do that by scheming him open. And I don't care if you have to scheme him open because we're not going to go out and say, hey, oh my gosh, Brandon Ayuk's getting schemed open. He can't get open. We know he can get open.
We know that, yeah.
But when you're getting keyed in on, you have to have a coach help you out a little bit. And I think that's what Kyle is missing right now. Um, Now, you did mention Brandon Ayuk earlier, and I wanted to ask you a question because I saw it on the timeline. And you're obviously a receiver.
Mhm.
You know how 2 minute drills go. At the end of the game against the Cleveland Browns, I know this is the last week, not necessarily the week that I want to talk about, but Brock Purdy completed a big gain to Brandon Ayuk, who picked up all the yards after the catch.
Mhm.
I saw some people on the timeline saying Brock Purdy threw that pass to his inside shoulder instead of outside to where the sideline is because he wanted Brandon Ayuk to turn up field and get all those yards.
Mhm.
In a 2 minute drill at the end of a game, what are you coached to do? And this is every single level is coached to do this in a 2 minute drill. So it is not something that just NFL dudes are taught or college dudes are taught. What are you taught to do during a 2 minute drill? And was that pass thrown inside to turn Brandon Ayuk upfield on purpose?
Get out of bounds. I mean, that's what you're supposed to get out of bounds, right? So I don't know. Hey, if it was all you, I mean, that's a ballsy throw. All praise to Purdy. But I'm not sure if that was really the reason why. I think it was a good throw. Um, you know, Ayuk caught the ball, and he just made a play, and that's why we have Ayuk, Kittle, Jennings to an extent, and Debo and McCaffrey. That's why
Mhm.
we have those dudes because they're so gifted with the ball in their hands. So the quarterback's job is just to get the ball in their hand, right, and let them do what they do, and that's what Ayuk did. Ayuk got a big chunk, and with that big chunk, they were able. Ayuk. Purdy was able to make a throw to the right sideline, and then the last throw to the left sideline. I believe it was to Jennings. I'm not sure. Maybe to Ayuk, but that's how they were able to get in field goal position. It started with the throw, but ultimately, that big run was on Ayuk. It's okay to say that, right?
It's okay to say it, but people want to. The quarterback is the position that gets all the praise for the 49ers fan base,
Mhm.
but you cannot criticize them at all.
No.
It's everyone else around them, right? So that's why I had to ask you that because I saw people saying, "Oh, he threw it inside on purpose." I'm like, I've never seen a quarterback in my life at every level when you're running a 2-minute drill, throw it inside where he could get tackled. Now you're killing the clock. You got to use the timeout. You got to spike the ball. X, Y, Z. You're trying to get out of bounds, get as many yards as you can. Um, Now, with the concussion going on, this is a great question from CG Ruthless. Concussions is a tough one. Are we rushing him back? We saw what happened with Tua last year. Quarterback situations are tricky. They're not often being hit, but when they do, a lot of times they're falling backwards and hitting their back of their head on the grass.
Mhm.
Is this something we should be concerned about for Brock Purdy, and are the 49ers rushing him back?
It depends how severe the concussion was, right? I'm not sure the different severities of concussions, but um if he's able to come back and play on Sunday, that means his concussion was not as severe, right? Which is a good thing. I me personally, I don't want to see Sam Darnold out there. I'd rather Purdy be out there healthy, but I'd rather Purdy be healthy for the duration of the year and not make anything worse. So if it was a severe head injury concussion, the Niners shouldn't be rushing him back, and I think the NFL will be involved with this and not let the Niners rush Purdy back if he's not ready or depending on the severity of the concussion that Purdy had. So I think, again, me personally, I think he's gonna play. Um, I think he's a fighter, but ultimately it's going to come down to the Niners and the NFL overseeing that, making sure they're not, rushing somebody out there who just had a severe head injury. So we're going to see. Time will tell. Time will
Absolutely.
tell.
And with concussions, every concussion is different. I think so. From what I saw already, he was actually limited in practice. So there's a chance he's cleared tomorrow,
Hmm.
which is crazy because if you're cleared that fast, that means there wasn't much of a concussion. You had
Right.
symptoms
Yeah.
because there's your concussion legit lasts 6 to 7 days, if not more. At least
Hmm.
for every concussion I've had too many of them to count. I've had about 6, 7.
Yeah.
So there, each of them for me was different time to like the at the point where I started. You know what? I need 4 weeks off just because I had a concussion a while ago. Like so for him, this is his first concussion, at least that I'm aware of in the NFL. I don't believe he had any concussions last year or the year before. So his brain is going to heal a lot faster. This may be
Yeah.
his first concussion, so
Mhm.
it's going to heal a lot faster. So I think he'll be fine. I don't think they're rushing him at all. But what's the offense going to look like with Sam Darnold? I know you're not excited about it with Brock Purdy in the concussion protocol. The offense with Sam Darnold is when you have a coach who praises Sam Darnold when he signs him, saying he could rejuvenate his career like Steve Young. Um, you had Matt Miyoko come out and say he's the best thrower of the football since uh, ever for the 49ers. Like you hearing this high praise,
Mhm.
and the Matt Miyoko comment didn't come from Matt Miyoko.
Yeah.
That was Matt Miyoko saying this
Mhm.
before he ever saw him throw the football.
Right. Right. Right.
So this is coming from someone inside the organization. So the praise has been there. The Niners try to trade. I don't know what the rumor is, but allegedly a first round pick for Sam Darnold.
Mhm.
Um, when he was traded from the Jets to the Panthers. What are your expectations if the offense does have to roll with Sam Darnold?
I personally, I don't think they'll miss a beat. The only thing my concern is, Kyle will scheme it up and make sure he puts Sam Darnold in positions to succeed. I mean, look what he did with Nick Mullins, right? Second most yards in the however whatever it was like the second most yards behind Mahomes in like the first 10 starts or whatever it was for Nick Mullins. So I think Kyle has, the offense, and he's a genius to scheme things for Sam Darnold and make it easy for him. But my concern is him turning the ball over. I mean, you can't. I mean, he's turned the ball over a lot, right? So that's my concern, and that's the difference between you know having Purdy in there, and because Purdy is efficient and he typically takes care of the ball, right? Darnold is known for turning the ball over, whether it's fumbles, interceptions, whatever. That's my biggest concern. But if he finds a way to take care of the ball, I think the Niners won't miss a beat, and um, he'll do all right. I mean, I just don't want to see it because of the turnovers, and I guess he has this amazing arm. Who, I mean, he's played however many games, and we haven't really seen it. But hey,
So if you guys are tuning in, make sure y'all go to Josh Harper's channel. The link is in the description. Make sure you guys go over there, follow it, subscribe to it. It's J Harp TV, correct?
yep, yep.
J Harp TV. Make sure you guys subscribe to his channel. Um, definitely should be. He definitely knows his ball. Played in the league and everything like that. So you guys want to make sure you guys subscribe to his channel as well. For me, I'm actually interested because if he plays well, then everyone who's been saying Brock Purdy's a system quarterback may be right. Now, I don't want that to be true, even though I think Brock Purdy isn't the answer. I don't think he's, and I've been very public about that.
Mhm.
But for me, if Kyle Shanahan is able to come out and scheme stuff open, there's some throws that Brock Purdy has left on the field in terms of arm strength, from what I've seen. Now, Sam Darnold does have a better deep ball than Brock Purdy. Will that open up the offense a little bit? So for me, I'm kind of looking at things. I'm like, if the offense puts up points against the Bengals with Sam Darnold, what does that mean about Brock Purdy? Because if everyone for the most part thinks Sam Darnold is terrible, we all think he's not good at all, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So if he comes out and plays really high level football with the 49ers, there's a lot of questions to be asked and answered.
Yeah.
So if he comes out and plays high level football, right? Let's say it's like, damn, like this is a different quarterback. This is not Sam Darnold from the Panthers or from the Jets. This is the 49ers version of Sam Darnold. Would you have the conversation then to say, hey, Brock struggled 2 games in a row? We kind of lost 2 games because of our quarterback play.
Mhm.
If we have better quarterback play, we're probably 7-0 sitting right now if we have better quarterback play.
Mhm.
Should we roll with Sam Darnold? Because that question would then starting to be talked about. If you see Sam Darnold go have a great game, what do you think about that?
So look, me personally, I won't have that conversation, right? I feel you about I'm so the way I stand with Brock Purdy. I feel like he's a really good quarterback for this system, right?
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't necessarily have the arm strength, but doesn't necessarily need it for what they're asking him to do. But we're missing such a big part of the field, and that's that deep ball. I mean, he's hit a couple, but he's also missed a few too, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if Sam Darnold comes out here and plays good, again, me personally, I'm going back to Purdy, but I feel like Kyle loves he. I mean, he's came out publicly and said it. He loves Sam Darnold. So if he comes out here and you see a deep ball or two, by the way, I think how long is Danny Gray out, or is he out?
Danny Gray, he's still on the IR, but I think he's good to return at any
Okay.
point right now.
I,
So
I,
I
was
don't
I was
know if
thinking
he's
I was thinking if Sam Darnold plays, I'm thinking they're gonna get a Danny Gray in there, or maybe Ray might play a little more, just to stretch the field. But if he plays, if he plays well, and depending on how well he plays, I think Kyle will have that discussion internally, and I think it will come in the form of, well, let's give Brock a extra week of recovering. Sam did pretty good. Let's see what he can do again next week, and then comes the time if he gets 2 games, then that's when it's time to, okay, Sam Darnold, he played pretty good. Look the way the ball comes out his arm. It's popping out. Look at he's taking care of the ball. We haven't seen him take care of the ball. So those questions will start to arise, and again, Kyle loves him. He has the most arm talent that Kyle's ever had, right? He could be the next Steve Young, right? That's what he says, right? So I think it will happen internally, depending on how good Sam Darnold plays. But if it was up to me, I mean, I've seen enough Sam Darnold. But if it was up to me, I'd go back to Purdy. But who knows? He may be he may be able to rejuvenate his career in San Francisco. I'm not gonna just throw that out the window.
Yeah, and absolutely, and I agree with you. I'm not just because I'm not a big fan of Brock Purdy doesn't mean I'm like, "Hey, let's go to Sam Darnold right away."
Right,
Like
right, right.
that's not how I see things. I think Brock Purdy's done enough over the last 7 games to keep his job, unless Sam Darnold comes out and throws 4 touchdowns, 300 yards on the Bengals, and he looks like lights out, like he looks like a new dude. Then it's like, whoa, I need
Yeah.
to see that one more time
Mhm.
because we're missing something in the offense. And if he's doing that, you kind of gotta give him the opportunity because he's earned it. Like
Yeah.
you earned it in the one start to start again. So
And
also it
you have that in your back pocket. Let's give him another week. Let's make sure he's fully healthy. Let's give him another week. Get him. Let Sam Darnold play one more week, and we'll see what's going on. So
well, you could then also say too, well, hey, you did also tell what's his name? The Cowboys old quarterback on the TV broadcast. Ah, geez.
Troy Aikman.
Troy Aikman.
Mm.
Hey, Brock, you did also tell Troy Aikman that you're still building your arm strength up to 100. You're not fully healthy. We might have pushed you a little bit. You had 2 bad games the last 2 weeks. Let's kind of dial you back a little bit, let you rest, and let your arm kind of heal up a little bit. And then
Yeah,
if he doesn't do good, it's your job. Like there's a lot of things can happen. And knowing Kyle, he said he fell in love with Brock Purdy after 3 games. How
yeah,
fast does he fall out of love?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
you fall in love with someone after 3 games. Ain't no one in their right mind in terms of scouting departments and stuff like that. Watch a player 3 games and like, yep, that's the answer. Like, so I don't know. I think Kyle when he said that spoke too prematurely. I think he fell in love with him in training camp and throughout the process. I don't think it was 3 games,
Mhm.
but the fact that he said that is I could use that against him. But
Yeah.
49ers offense hopefully scores more than 17 points with either of the quarterbacks. The Bengals don't have that great of a defense. Now they do have a good secondary. Interesting to see the secondary versus our offense since there's no Debo. But the defense is very interesting because it's an elite level of defense in terms of who's on the field. You have guys like Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, Talanoa Hufanga, Charvarius Ward. Like it's an elite level of players on the field at all times, but they're struggling in terms of getting off the field on third downs.
Yes.
Um, what are you seeing from the defense? Is it just the defense's fault? Is it Steve Wilkes? What do you see from the defense right now?
Okay. Again, it's okay to criticize, right? So I'm gonna put some blame. I'm gonna put the majority of the blame on Steve Wilkes. It's a new defense. I'm not sure if he's actually running his defense or if he's running, what Kyle wants him to. But he's the head of the defense, so a lot of the blame is going on Steve Wilkes, right? He gave up a lot of rushing yards against the Browns without Nick Chubb, and they struggled heavily to get off the field on third down against the Vikings. And the Vikings aren't a pushover offense. The Kirk Cousins is really good. I don't really believe in the prime time Kirk Cousins thing or whatever that is. Football is football, depending on Monday, Sunday, Thursdays. It's football. So I don't really believe in that. Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback. So, but still, I'm going to put some blame on Steve Wilkes. I'm gonna put a lot of the blame on the defensive line, regardless of if Steve Wilkes not scheming them open. That defensive line is good enough to create pressure and complete the sack on their own, right? Um, we brought in the D tackle from Philly to make a difference. We have Nick Bosa back. That opposite D inside has it's been a struggle, but the trade piece that we brought in, he's been playing really good, right? We have Armstead. So the talent is there. Um, but they may be creating pressure. I don't really want to I don't care about pressures. I want to see them I want to see them, finish the job, get the sacks. Our corners have they've been struggling. Um, and it's a combination. It's a team effort, starting with the D line. The D line has to get back there, get some sacks on the quarterback. The corners have to hold long enough to you know to give the defensive line time. So it's a unit effort. It's a string. They all work in unison. So I'm gonna. It starts with Steve Wilkes. He has to fix something. He has to make some changes. He has to come up with better schemes, and then I'm going to go to the D line. The D line's job is to make it easier on the corners. Um, but even then, the corners have to hold up. Charvarius Ward had a tough tough game against the Vikings, and against a rookie at that. We're paying him top dollars. Come down with interceptions. Be a playmaker. That's what we're paying you top dollars for. And he just looked lost out there. Like he had no answer for Jordan Addison.
And what's crazy is going up against a rookie. And for me, what the most interesting part is Steve Wilkes. I know for sure Steve Wilkes watches film on other, like when the Vikings play other teams, like you have to have watched the film. Jordan Addison has struggled when you're in press man.
He's small.
He struggled. And instead he kept playing off. Like at some point you have to have studied. So for me, I was like, yo, Steve, bro, get them out of being off. Put them in press man. Even if they're not pressing, like even if they're not fully pressing the full technique, put them at the line of scrimmage pressing, because now you have Jordan Addison thinking he has to get off of you throwing your hands, and he has not done that well at the NFL level or the college level. So for me, that was confusing. But it kind of sucks for I know the D line that deserves a lot of criticism. But when Drake Jackson's on the field with that D line, I can't criticize them. I can't criticize the D line because you're playing with 3 defensive linemen and Drake Jackson. Like he's out there in a shell of himself. I don't know what that is. That isn't football. That isn't playing defensive line. When you're attacking an offensive tackle, you want to attack half the body. If I attack half the body, you only have one hand to get me. Versus I'm swiping with 2. I'm getting around doing. He's attacking full body. Like, hey, you know what? My chest is right here. Get under here. My chest pads right here. Grab here, and you can control me.
Right.
He's getting bodied in the run game. So that's also like you got to see that as a D coordinator and a head coach. Randy Gregory should be playing every snap. Now he's going to be better than what we had with Drake Jackson right now.
Yeah.
Now for me, it is a lot on Steve Wilkes. Yep. And Steve Wilkes did take blame for that today. He said, you know what? I got to do a better job of putting my guys in better position to succeed. Absolutely you do. Mm-hmm. Calling a cover 0 all-out blitz with 16 seconds left. Now, I don't like the play call.
Yeah.
But also the execution has to be fucking made. Like you can't, for example, a coach should call the best play in the entire world, right? A wide-ass open play. And for you to not execute, that's not on the coach. That's on the players. At the end of the day, that's on Charvarius Ward. The coach called a shitty play. Yes, he did. But that shitty play call had him in position to go to a second interception of the game.
Yeah.
If he finishes the play, no one is talking about the play call. No one. Because Steve Wilkes looks like a genius because he just got an interception late in the half. Like, so for me, just because the defensive coordinator is also putting you in bad position, you got to figure something out as well as a player and overcome that bad play call.
Yeah.
Because you know what they see what they see. Sending 4 when they're in max protection. That's on, to me, that's on Dre and Fred Warner. That's on the secondary. Whoever's the captain of the secondary. You gotta see that. You gotta check out. Hey, fly, plane.
Yeah.
Something that's in the air. It's a fucking pass. Like, so at the end of the day, I get criticizing Steve Wilkes. But also what do we have in the last 2 games? 30 missed tackles?
Yeah.
That's not, Steve Wilkes ain't out there playing.
From your best players too.
So it's like, what are we doing? Like, I get Steve Wilkes deserves criticism.
Definitely, for sure.
But at the end of the day, when you have all pros missing tackles, not getting sacks, pressure, like you said earlier, pressure, I don't give a fuck about pressures. Because if a pressure ain't causing a missed throw or an interception, that pressure was pointless. You could be in my face and I could deliver a touchdown pass. Does that pressure matter? Absolutely not. So for people like, oh, we had 15 pressures. I don't care about the pressures because what I saw on the game film was Kirk Cousins dicing us up on third
Yeah,
downs.
third and
Like
Kirk Cousins.
so, like for me, it's a tough situation. Um, how is it fixable? How's everything fixable defensively in your opinion?
Get I know we had a lighter schedule. Um, in the beginning of the year. Um, but get back to what was working. Get back to what were we calling? Like, why is there such a why can't we? Why do we go into Cleveland and give up all these rushing yards, but able to stop it in Pittsburgh? Like, so we have to figure out, you know, what is causing the Niners defense to give up stuff on third downs. You have to switch up your play calling. You have to scheme up some different type of stunts on the defensive line, different type of blitzes, because what you're running is not working, right? So they have to look in the mirror. Steve Wilkes has to look in the mirror. The defense, Fred Warner has to look in the mirror. He had a lot of missed tackles, right? Um, you know, uh, Bosa. I know Bosa's getting chipped. So Steve Wilkes, figure out how to get Bosa a one-on-one, right? So I think it's fixable defensively for sure. I think it's fixable. Um, we got to figure out how to not leave Charvarius Ward on an island. I know I know we're paying him all that money, but man, he's getting tore up. He's getting tore up a little bit. So Steve Wilkes has to figure it out. That's why he's the DC, right? Figure out what the strengths and weaknesses of this year, not last year, not the year before that. This is a new team, right? So figure out
Absolutely.
your strengths and weaknesses this year, and come up with the game plan, come up with the scheme that's gonna make this defense elevate their talents. So
And from what I've seen though is as well is I know we did sign Javon Hargrave in the offseason, but when we did sign him, my first thoughts were our run defense is going to go down because he's not a good run defender. He never has been. When he was with Philly, when he was with Pittsburgh, he wasn't a great run defender.
yeah,
So from what I when I watch him, he's a great pass rusher. So
yeah,
maybe on rundowns, you should start thinking about playing
Ken Law,
someone else like Kinlaw, who's a better run defender. Maybe you have instead of having Drake Jackson active on game day, and this goes to Kyle now because it's the players that are active. Kyle chooses those guys.
yeah,
Kalia Davis, who's a better run defender than Drake Jackson, and Drake Jackson's not providing anything as a pass rusher or a run defender at this point. Maybe he has to be inactive. Maybe it's the personnel that's on the field. Um, maybe you actually have to send Denominator Lenore inside and have whoever play outside because from what we're seeing, it's not working.
Isaiah
And I
Oliver,
think and Isaiah Oliver, he's getting work. Like it is like him and Charvarius Ward are getting work.
yeah,
So I don't know if it's like if you got to wait for Samuel Womack if they think Samuel Womack's gonna change things. He's a small corner too.
yeah,
He might get worked as well. Um, Darrell Luter, a little bit bigger, but no offseason for him as a rookie. I don't trust. No one trusts him. Not even the
right,
coaching staff. You don't know what he
right,
is.
right,
So for me, it comes down to can Steve Wilk dial up pressure with the 4-man front in terms of using stunts, creating one-on-ones, taking Drake Jackson out is going to help immensely. That's key. That's my biggest key to help this defense. Um, but start disguising looks. Like if nothing's disguised, like Kirk Cousins was like, "Cool,
yeah,
you're running this. I know exactly. That's the fastest the quarterback has gotten the ball out this season in terms of time to throw
mhm,
because he knew what we're in. If I know what you're in, guess what? I know my offense better than you know the offense because I know the damn play.
yeah,
This guy's gonna be open every time. And even at one point, it was to the point where Kevin O'Connell walked over to the ref. He knew what we were in
mhm,
and told Charvarius Ward, or not Charvarius, the ref, watch number 3, knowing Charvarius Ward was going to get contact
hold
when he was
something
coming
like
out of
that,
a break.
yeah,
So it's like if the coach is doing that, guess what? The coach is dominating you because he knows you're in the same damn coverage every damn play. You're in off, you're in whatever the hell you're in, cover 3, cover quarters. You were running it too often. You're showing it and you're staying in it. Get out of it. But going to the trade deadline is coming up. So now you have the opportunity and the luxury to make up for what you're lacking.
Mhm.
There's opportunity. There's players out there. If you're the 49ers, do you make a trade, whether it's for kicker, edge rusher, corner, tackle? Do you make a trade at this point?
I do. And I would target somebody, just not for a year, but somebody who you think you could be able to pay, and somebody that could, build with this team. This is a unit who they're very cohesive. They work well together. They all know each other. So I, I mean, I know it's just rumors, but Patrick Surtain is that guy, right? Go get him. He's a young dude. I don't know how many years left he has on his rookie contract, but budget. If it's somebody that you think could elevate this defense, budget and see if you're able to pay him first, right? But if not, just play him the rest of his rookie contract. I think he's a lockdown corner. I don't know what's going on over there in Denver. They're thinking about shutting it down and trading everybody. I would definitely go look for a corner. I think we need a corner. Charvarius Ward is not a lockdown corner. I know he's getting paid like one, but he's not a lockdown corner.
Yeah.
So if we can go out there and get a Patrick Surtain or somebody like that, I think that will boost this defense. I think it would help with the pass rush. Because the pressures will then turn into actual sacks because they're out there getting covered, right? So I think that would be my number one target, Patrick Surtain Jr. So
And that's a good one because he's in his third year of his rookie contract,
mhm.
which the 49ers would be able to pick up his fifth year option.
So
So you would have him for another 2 years.
yeah,
And technically you can make it 3 to 4,
yeah,
because you could tag him 2 years in a row if you wanted, if you needed to. So it's a very flexible contract for the 49ers. Now, the issue is you probably got to give up a first round pick for Patrick Surtain.
yeah.
You haven't had a first round pick in the last 2-3 years.
Mhm,
How valuable is that first round pick for the 49ers to get an offensive tackle in the draft class, which is a very good offensive tackle draft class?
mhm,
If Trent Williams retires, the only way you could replace a Trent Williams is if you draft someone at offensive tackle in the first round. Like, you're not going to get someone who could replace him. Now you could argue, well, maybe Jalen Moore didn't play too bad, so
mhm.
I don't like the idea
Yeah,
because they did the same shit with Colton McKivitz and it didn't work, and it hasn't worked. So for me, it's one of those ones where I want to keep my first rounder because I got a plan in the future. I haven't had first round picks. My team's gonna start getting older and older,
yeah,
so I'm thinking a guy like maybe Jalen Johnson won't have to give up that first rounder.
I like that.
And he's very productive. Now the thing that sucks is you have to turn around and pay him right away.
Yeah,
If not, you most likely get a compensation pick the following draft because you let him walk and you get a comp pick. Um, but for me, it's one of those ones where I wouldn't mind a guy like Montez Sweat.
yeah,
And I've thrown that out there, and people are like, "Oh, wait, why Montez Sweat? He's not going to cost much. He's probably the most underrated pass rusher when it comes to putting opposite of Nick Bosa.
mhm,
He's a dog. He makes key plays. Now you have to pay him as well, and I'd rather pay the edge rusher over the corner,
mhm.
because corners are one of those positions. What I've noticed in the NFL, they get paid and they fall off a little bit.
Yeah,
So for me, it's one of those ones where it's not. And I don't think it's necessarily they fall off. It's so damn hard to cover year to year. It's so damn hard. Like, it's the hardest position in the league, in my opinion. Because you receivers want to get fancy, and y'all releases is insane. So it's crazy to watch. Everyone's starting to go to guys like Coach Dub
yeah.
and stuff like that. So everyone in the league starting to be able to run routes. So I would go edge rusher, a
Mhm,
guy like Montez Sweat. Maybe if you really want to get crazy, call Daniel Hunter. Um, so for me, they have to make a trade.
yes.
Even if it's at offensive tackle, you got to do something because The damn Eagles already got better. They got better in the secondary, and that's where they were struggling. They saw, hey, our secondary struggling, specifically our safeties.
Mhm,
We know Darius Slay will pick it up. We know I believe that James Bradbury over there too. Those two will pick it up. We need a safety. They got it.
mhm.
John, what's your answer?
Gotta make
You see your team struggling. You got to make one.
gotta make one, and and it's trending towards them having home field advantage. So we really got to make a trade. I like both trades you said. I like Montez Sweat opposite of Bosa. Hopefully that would free up more one on ones for Bosa, offensive tackle. McKivitz is not the guy. I figured he wasn't going to be, but I you know I went ahead and gave it a chance, and he's not the guy. Watching film, all that, he's not the guy. But yeah, I mean, I would like a Jalen Johnson, a Montez Sweat. I know there's rumors of them trading the other DN too over there in Washington. Um, yeah,
Chase
I
Young.
would yeah, Chase Young. I would love to get one of them over here to pair with opposite of both sides. We haven't had a impact player opposite of Bosa since a healthy D Ford, right? So I'll be excited to get one of those dudes over there.
And the thing is it's you want to free up Bosa and creating one on ones, but the only way you can do that is if the player opposite of Bosa is winning his one on ones.
Yeah,
Like
he's
you're not
attacking.
like you're if you're not like, and I've seen people like, well, what about running stunts? The stunts will work, but
To an
then
extent.
you have to be pretty damn good and call those. Oh, you can't call stunts every play. Like you
Yeah.
can't. You watch yourself out in the run game.
Yep.
You create throwing lanes. Um, so essentially, if Montez Sweat's getting one on ones, he's gonna win those. I know he will. We see him win them weekly. He has 5.5 sacks on the season, two forced fumbles.
Mhm.
Um, so for him, it's one of those ones where I know he can win one on ones, and putting him opposite of Bosa would be pretty damn good. And Montez Sweat is still only, I believe, 27. So you could sign him to a 4-year deal and be excited because him and Bosa would be in their primes going into their end of their contract.
Mhm.
So I'm excited to see what the 49ers do. We didn't get really much to talk about the Bengals game.
Mhm.
Quick analysis of what you think is going to happen there in the Bengals game and why.
I think the Bengals are going to come out like everybody else. They're going to give us their A game. They're going to give the Niners their A game. They've came out slow as well. But coming out of bye week, a healthier Joe Burrow, a healthier T Higgins, Jamar Chase he's picked it up. He's been balling. They're DBs. They're pretty good. Um, so I think that the Bengals are going to give us the A game. But the Niners coming off two losses, there's no way that they're going to get three losses in a row, and the last one being at home. It's no way in hell that's going to happen. So I got the Niners, coming back. I got Brock Purdy playing. I know everybody thinks Sam Darnold's going to play, but I got Brock Purdy playing, bouncing back. I got Christian McCaffrey going crazy. Ayuk, I want to get Kittle more involved. I don't get him not being involved. I don't understand it. We need to get Kittle the ball. He's a top tight end for a reason. And I think that defense bounces back to an extent. They have a stiff challenge ahead of them. With all the talented weapons that the Bengals have, but I think they hold their own, and I think the Niners come away with a satisfying win.
Yeah, I absolutely love the change of momentum going into the bye week with a big win. Guys like Fred Warner understanding you can't fall 3 games in a row because then you essentially are not necessarily fighting for the 1 seed, but for the division at that
Yeah,
point. Like
yeah,
it's the easiest way to make the playoffs is winning your own division.
yeah.
And if you're having a fight for your own division, things get dicey. Anything could happen at that point. So I'm excited for the 49ers going into this game. Backs against the wall, lost 2 games in a row. You get to go home playing a Joe Burrow who isn't as healthy as normally. So you're not going to really see him scrambling around like he normally would, making those throws. Now it's better than it was the first 3 weeks.
Yep.
Um, but what I'm worried about is tackling guys like Jamar Chase, quick bubble screens and having to tackle them. We missed a lot of tackles with that. T. Higgins finally a little bit healthy against our slot corners. You put him in the slot against Isaiah Oliver. That's a dangerous matchup. Seeing how Steve Wilkes adjusts is what I'm excited to see. If Sam Darnold's in there, Brock Purdy's in there, I think Kyle scores 30 points. I think Kyle's going to put up points on the Bengals. They don't have a good defense. Their edge rushers, they instead of flying down to fill and replace the D line, they like to chase out and like in the backfield. They do a chase. What that does is that creates a cutback lane for Christian McCaffrey. I will not be surprised if Christian McCaffrey knows that, cuts back and breaks one for 65 yards for a touchdown. Because those cutback lanes are there. The Bengals give up the most a team that gives up one of the most explosive plays in the NFL. So guys like Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle should be heavily involved. I would like to see Ray McCloud a little bit more involved in the passing game. He has speed for a reason. Use it. Like I know he's not the best receiver, but have him clear out. Use Brandon Ayuk in the Debo fashion. Have Ray clear out. So I think the 49ers pull this one off. I don't see them losing 3 games in a row, especially with the guys like Fred Warner, Nick Bosa, understanding that their back's against the wall, and if they essentially lose 3 in a row, all those first 5 games of the season were pointless because you were trying to get off to a hot start because you knew you wanted that 1 seed. Getting off to a hot start and losing 3 in a row does shit for you because the following week it's a tough matchup as well. I believe it'd be is it not the Ravens game?
Not the Ravens. It
Seattle.
It might be Seahawks. Yes, it might be Seahawks, I think.
No, it's Jacksonville, which is a playoff team.
Yeah, they're good. They're good.
It's a playoff team right there. So either way, if you lose 3 in a row, you got to come back after your bye to a playoff team. So I see the 49ers winning it, understanding what's at stake. I think Trent Williams plays. I think Brock Purdy may be able to suit up. And if he doesn't, I still think they get a win. But make sure you guys go over and subscribe to J Harp TV. Make sure you guys follow J Harp II on Twitter. You have any other platforms you want to plug?
No, that's it. That's it. You can. I mean, y'all can follow me on Instagram, J Harp too.
J Harp, make sure y'all follow on Instagram. He's a Instagram influencer as well. Make sure you guys get over there. So next week is the bye week, and then the following week they would come back to the Jacksonville Jaguars. But that's it for today's show. Thank you for coming on, Harp. Appreciate you for being on with me today. Clutch Gene Sports is here. Make sure you guys subscribe to Clutch Gene Sports. Subscribe to J Harp TV. Make sure you guys follow us on all platforms. Thank you guys for tuning in today.